Hello, everyone. I am Recharged and here for you all. Welcome to the Inside Star Citizen Review. I love this project. I know there's tons of haters out there. Everyone has their own reasons for loving or hating or both the project, but I don't think there's anything out there like it. And I happen to love the journey. So let's check out where it's taken us tonight on this particular Inside Star Citizen labeled Alpha 4.0 Social Behavior.
There's a lot you can say about the upcoming Pyro system. It's dangerous, obviously.
Sorry about the echo.
It's lawless, certainly.
I got it.
But it's not all just chaos and carnage completely. It's also people just trying to make their living where they can in a place that's challenging and pretty different from the adjacent Stanton system. From repairing your neighbor's generator to supporting the nearby farmers, there's much you can do to be a social and upstanding citizen for Pyro's prosperity.
I like the vibes I'm getting right now.
So the planets of Pyro are different from Stanton in the fact that they all have to deal with the Pyro star system being at the end of its life cycle, emitting huge amounts of solar flare radiation, and we have to consider, like, what is that actually doing to each planet? Naturally, Pyro 1, closest to the sun, is going to be the heaviest influence of the solar flare firing off. So how do those people live? But the people furthest away from the star on Pyro 6 are going to have the least amount of radiation, but it's also going to be super cold at the same time.
First off, I love the feels of every one of these planets here in Pyro. Like, Pyro has amazing vibes. I just love the whole entire system. Everything I've seen, the environments look chef's kiss, man.
How do those people live instead?
In Stanton, you have huge landing zones, which are very protected, very safe, lots of security. In Pyro, there's no such thing. You're very exposed to the danger. Everything is a lot more spread out. People aren't huddled into landing zones. They have the entirety of the system to roam across.
There are no central sources of power in the Pyro star system. It's all decentralized, and each outpost has its own different identity and what it means for you as a player. As you go to these different places, should you be aligned with one faction, you can visit these locations. Should you align with another faction?
This looks fantastic. Red Bear already letting me know that I missed something. So let me know, Red Bear, what I missed.
You can go to these other locations instead.
You've got a lot more to do there. So instead of going down, doing a mission, flying away again, you can go down, do a mission, do another mission, do a third mission, and then go to another outpost on the same planet and do some missions there. You have a much more involved experience.
So let's look at some of the places you'll be visiting. So farmsteads are a small slice of life within the Pyro star system to get you introduced to what it's like to live there.
The MR.
There are places to gather harvestables.
That's good for Zeus owners.
Places to complete your mission.
Oh, are you directing tonight? Red Bear's the hut on the Aurora. Okay. All right, Red Bear. You know what? Instead of directing the show, just let us know as you see these things. Put in the Easter eggs. You're the Easter egg man. Red Bear, hold on a second. Red Bear's just trying to enhance the show. I respect that. I respect that. Hold on one second. Where's my Red Bear button? Let's just realize that Red Bear wants the best show possible. You gotta watch out. He's got the green tickle soul. He's Red Bear. He's number one. Red Bear. Okay, so he learned from the best. He learned from the best. That's right, Red Bear. So as you see these Easter eggs, just pop them out in the chat so everybody understands. So everybody pay attention to the chat too, because there will be Easter eggs in the chat as I continually miss things. Red Bear's got my back. That's why he's got the green tickle sword, man. That's why he's got it.
And ultimately, your first introduction to how people live in the Pyro star system.
Farms are probably one of my favorite ones, just because I really like the vibe of them.
This is going to be fantastic like, I'm noticing a lot of content geared towards land-based claims. A lot, like, I think CitizenCon is going to open that door up and start to talk more about land ownership, which is crazy because firstly, I want server-based issues to be I want server-based issues to be solved and done, and let's go. Then you get me on the economy. Then you get me on. I mean, I'm glad I get to see this. I'm glad I get to. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad I get to see all this. We get to peek inside. We get to see everything that there is to see. That's wonderful. When it comes to homesteads, bases, the Pioneer, ships that actually, the Galaxy also, like these types of ships that are actually going to have the ability to build bases and start your life on a planet, on a moon, and we're starting to see farms here. These things are really great leaps towards a game that can keep people playing the game, player retention, all the things I've been talking about to keep people, to keep asses in seats for a long time. But we need, absolutely need the focus to be on stability right now. The more we keep adding, right, where we have these server-based issues, the more it's going to be unplayable. You understand? Like, this is wonderful. I love this. I want to learn about this. I know this happens. I know there's multiple teams working on multiple things at the same time. But when I start to see more focus on like land-based type things, I'm like, I feel like they're getting a little ahead of themselves here. Personally, I'm like, let's back up the truck a little bit and let's talk about dynamic server meshing. Let's get these server issues figured out. The holy grail of this game, for this game to be successful. Let's dedicate focus and resources, money, people, everything towards this problem, and let's stabilize this game. I'm so happy I see this, but like, I feel like when I see this, this is opening Pandora's box, and you're going to see so many people upset because they're like, we can't even play the game right now. You want to add this and this and this and this. They don't understand game development. People that bitch about those types of things, they don't get that this is part of game development, right? It's multifaceted. It's not really linear. Like, game development really is not like a linear process. Okay, like there's many things happening behind the scenes. So like, when you're seeing this, it's okay to be excited about this. Personally, me, I get a little bit like I feel, do you guys feel that way too? Or is it just me? Like, I start to feel like, this is great, this is wonderful, but the game isn't really stable like I want it to be. And we're adding and we're adding and we're adding. And I get nervous. Right, the stability. I've been talking about stability for a very, very long time. 2 years straight. People don't realize this. A lot of people, they come in, they go, oh, DG, he's this white knight. Oh, I am a positive guy. I understand game development. I get where they want to go. I see the macro. I'm a macro guy. I'm not like, like detail-oriented coding guy. I understand what coders are doing for the game. I understand it to a point where it's necessary, but I don't understand the actual coding. Okay, I haven't gotten into the micro. I'm the macro guy. I'm the dream guy. I'm the let's get this shit going. What do we need to do to get people working on things and get this thing going out the door so that we all can have a good experience? But I'm vision macro guy. Okay? So when I'm talking about things, I can take a step back, look at the project and see where the project is at and go, okay, this is what we need to do. So when I see this as a macro dude, I go, wow, this is wonderful. I see this, but let's back up the truck a little bit and talk about like some of the issues that need to be resolved first before I can get my teeth into this juicy steak. This is so juicy. I'm so excited about this. I cannot wait till we get land ownership and bases and your organizations can actually like have a place where they can have a farm. And you can sell these commodities to people. But yet, when we're talking about the game itself and the game mechanics, the gameplay that we have right now in the alpha, it is not even good trading right now. Yes, we got the new cargo missions coming up. Yes, when we talk about the missions and the Mobi-Glass and the contracts and the Mobi-Glass, they're adding. That's wonderful. But what about if I just wanted to trade commodities? What about a trader that doesn't want to take contracts, missions from the Mobi-Glass? What about a trader that just wants to trade the commodities and find those deals? Well, I can tell you, you got to use tools on a browser in order to find where to go. Sloppy. That's sloppy. the whole like galactic logistics and what's the other site people use for trading? I can't remember. It's the more popular one, Star Citizen Trader or something like that. These sites are great. I love the work that's being done by these people there, but these people should actually be employed by Cloud Imperium, and these features should be in the game for traders who just want to trade commodities. They shouldn't have to just rely on contracts in a mobiGlas. They should be able to actually trade the commodities the way they want to without having to take missions and make that profit by just trading the commodities in the game. And they shouldn't have to go to a third-party website to find where to get the best deals at. The tools should be in the game. So there's a lot of things that still need to be added that are like common sense things, right? So when I see this juicy steak, I'm like, I can't wait. It's great. Macro, wonderful. But right now, stability, server meshing issues. Let's get it going. Let's talk about that. But this will be a huge focus at CitizenCon. I can guarantee it. I am smelling it. 90% sure, and I'm going to be with you for CitizenCon. I can't wait for CitizenCon. We are going to watch, and I guarantee you they're going to focus a lot more on homesteads, land-based items, land claims, these types of things, and that's wonderful. But let's get back to basics and start talking about stability. Stability
is the closest thing to a home feeling I think you'll find in Pyro. You feel like there's a smaller community living here.
There's a lot more fields of crops, there's a lot more greenhouses. For the lawless ones, we've got these like grub farm greenhouses, which are really cool as well. They tend to be in a lot more open, plain-like areas, big fields of crops around them.
There is things to do, there's things to harvest, but it's also just the vegetation that kind of sits on a lot of the desolate landscapes that we have in Pyro. Give you a little bit of this mini feeling of like a little oasis.
There's one in particular on Pyro 2 that's really nice and has this really nice vibe, that kind of like lazy windmill circling in the breeze on a plain that's just like almost featureless apart from these few buildings on it. That really gives, especially at sunset, like really gives an amazing vibe of like, these people live in the ass end of nowhere, but are really trying to do their best to survive.
There are going to be some goods that are only grown in Pyro because of its unique star system that can be shipped back to Stanton.
We have a whole bunch of new mission types that you'll be able to do there. Then they're more geared around repairing pieces of machinery. We have what we call charge drain technology coming over from Squadron, which enables you to transfer an electrical charge from one component to another. So you can like jumpstart a generator, for example. There's scope for much more gathering type of missions, like going out into the field, collecting crops. There's a big focus on non-combat at a place like a farm.
Next, let's talk about scrapyards. Scrapyards are one of the few locations within the Pyro star system where you can actually service your ship that is not on space stations or LEOs.
We'll have more scrap in a scrapyard, which makes a lot of sense, but we've got the towering cranes with derelict spaceships in there, the skeletons of spaceships being pulled apart.
And we can see that there is a certain order to things where things get disassembled and moved around, and where your aircrafts are getting refueled and repaired.
The art's fantastic. Like, all of the artwork is wonderful. I would like to see additional game mechanics at these particular salvage yards, personally. I'd also like to see additional game mechanics in those farm fields where you saw the citizens pulling crops. I want to start seeing some planting. They might as well add that. You might as well put that into the game. If you're talking about collecting crops for missions, you might as well talk about growing crops. You might as well let's plant some fucking seeds and let's be farmers, for God's sake. You know what I'm saying? You might as well put that down.
There will be little shops as well to kind of get you on the way for your journey.
And we've got these large landing pits in all the scrapyards that are unique to the scrapyards, which are the big sort of sunken pits for repairing, rearming, refueling. They kind of bring that kind of unique, okay, this is a scrapyard because I know that there's a landing pit here, and they're the only types of outposts that have those.
Landing complete.
Here, you're able to interact with Chrysler services, refuel your ship, repair your ship, even rearm your ship as well. In addition to servicing your ship, you can also service the scrapyard itself. You've got to use your charge and drain tools to be able to repair pipes, repair
Okay, and what I gotta say is this: I know we're set in the future. I understand we're set far in the future, but they better be careful with these beam mechanic gameplays. Like, they're going a little too ham with everything being beam related. You know, like everything is like a beam one way. Like, okay, like just let's be careful. Let's not go too ham with beam mechanics.
canisters, any faults in machinery, etc.
Right.
It's very much about taking things apart and organizing them and shipping them off again.
But unlike the landing zones
Good
within
question,
the Santon system, there is no air traffic controller. There is nobody to filter out where you can go. You simply...
That sounds like they're tired of ATC. Like, ATC's giving them issues, and they're like, fuck it, let's not put ATC in Pyro because ATC's a pain in the ass in Stanton. That's what that sounds like to me.
You choose a parking space, you land there, you service your ship, and you...
We want, okay, I get it because it's Pyro. Okay, that pass is okay. That can pass. I'll give that a pass because we're talking Pyro and it's lawless. But that sounds like, let's not bother with putting ATC in because it's fucked and borked anyway. That's what that kind of sounded like to me. Let's fix ATC up, like, for real. Let's have the video of the person in the screen talking to you, and let's get that done already. Let's do that. Let's fix ATC right now. Where are we at on ATC, everyone?
must fly out.
There's a giveaway.
The new
There
mission
you go,
type that we have
Schnozzbot.
is salvaging, but in first person. So you don't need to be in a ship. It will be something that you
Good
can
boy,
do on
Schnozzbot.
foot. So salvaging all the various panels which have turned up at the scrapyards in order to process them. Another piece of non-combat gameplay at scrapyards might be repairing machinery.
Air traffic control. Air traffic control.
Which uses the resource network and engages it in missions. So you will be able to, for example, if there's a broken piece of machinery, you'll be able to find a working piece of machinery, rip components and fuses and parts out of that, apply it to the broken one, and make that run instead. But of course, you've broken the first machine by doing that.
Without the landing zones in the Pyro star system, we're using scrapyards to be able to help service your ships so that you can navigate to other locations on the planet, as well as get back up into space as well.
Okay. That's kind of cool.
The largest concentration of player activity is going to be happening at the trade posts. The trade posts are where the player is going to be...
The art looks fantastic. Everything that I've seen from the art department looks fantastic.
Dealing with trade and commodity,
Kudos to the art
themselves.
First off, the art department never gets their like kudos, man. Let's hear it for the art department, man. Like, everything's looking pretty tight. For real. The art department doesn't get the love it deserves, man. The vibes on what I've seen lately from Pyro is just phenomenal.
In different groups in order to purchase different food, water, ship weapons, ship components, armor, grenades, med pens, whatever, you name it, it can be found and sold here.
They focus quite heavily on hauling, delivery, and shuttling goods around.
Trader posts are organized by several different factions within the Pyro star system. At these different locations, you might find different inventory, different perks, different goods. So if you're aligned with Citizens for Prosperity, you might visit locations such as Jackson Swap and Pyro 2,
Right,
Conard
Coop?
View
How you doing,
on
Coop?
Pyro 6. Conard View is in a very cold location that's very inhospitable, but people still need to be able to service and trade and do things around this planet.
Thank you, let's go. Thank you,
different
Rev.
goods, different resources there, all being sold at this location. As Conard View is sheltered within a crater, it is also a safer location away from other headhunter gangs nearby.
Yeah, I mean, the environments are just downright amazing, man. I'm feeling it right through the screen. All of these environments are like, whew, Wow.
It is also a safer location away from other headhunter gangs nearby, so you've got fewer people competing for your wares or trying to pirate from you either. Jackson Swamp is sheltered between these two different cliff bluffs, offering them lots of protection. And through there, we went for a spaghetti western style main thoroughfare with lots of different landing pads around.
Very
and because it's
Firefly.
well established, it's got some nice defensive measures so that it
Firefly
can't be
feels,
immediately
man.
attacked by any rogue factions within Pyro.
We see in Jackson Swamp, it's a hard environment that these people live in. It's not an easy living.
Visually, it echoes like the rest of the sort of art style that we call the sort of frontier art style.
If we look at the buildings, we see that there's a lot of stucco elements, there's a lot of makeshift little knickknacks that people have gathered from around the Pyro system.
It's a mixture of that hard Scrabble life and people trying to make the best of what they have and repairing things over and over again and like replacing things that break.
You can see that the way that people are living there, it's very makeshift.
We'll play that for the
Rooms
credits
were
tonight, bro.
built to have
That's
a certain
great. That's
purpose,
great.
but have lost that purpose many years ago.
There's still that sort of decorative, artisanal, craftsman-like elements in there as well with the rough weave rugs and things like that. So we're trying to really like push that homesteading vibe in complete opposition to things like the space stations and, you know, microscope,
play
which
that
up to
song
now has
for the
been very
credits after dark,
corporate.
man.
Lots of metal, lots of angles, lots of edges, lots of sci-fi. This is supposed to soften off all those corners.
You as a player can land whatever size ship you have, purchase whatever size ship components and ship weapons you might want to have. You can visit the local warehouse or order any potential things that you might need to have, commodities, food, etc. Where anybody needs to be able to get something, purchase it, collect it. This is where all the players are going to be collecting.
And now we just, like I said earlier, we just need the tools in order to find out different areas, different buy and sell orders. Like really, that just should be like a natural thing in the game. That you shouldn't have to go out to a browser in order to find where you get your lowest buys and your highest sells at. That should all be built in. Those should be tools in the game for traders that don't want to have to do missions. They just want to be independent traders and they just want to trade commodities back and forth, especially now that there's two systems. There needs to be buy sell orders that are out there that you can see in the solar system that you're in. And, you know, if you don't want to, you know, the way they're going to design it is they don't want they don't want everything to be visible throughout the entire verse. They only want it per solar system. That's okay. But at least put the buy and sell orders in the solar system that you're in. And if you want to separate Stanton from Pyro in terms of buy and sell orders, that's fine. But at least have the tool there for traders so they know exactly what they can buy, where they can buy it at the lowest price, and where they can go to sell it at a higher price so that they can figure out the route. It's important for traders. Like, the tool needs to be in the game already.
But maybe you align yourself with headhunters and you visit locations like
What's up,
Gonner's
Tech?
Deal
Good to see you,
and
buddy.
Golden Riviera. Gonner's Deal is a smaller outlaw trade post perched in Pyro 4's massive crater. It's there as a stopgap between Pyro 3 and Pyro 6 because there is not much landmass around Pyro 5. Pyro 5 is a gas giant, and yet you need to have a midway drop-off to get from Pyro 3 over to Pyro 6 on the far side because Pyro's star system is far larger than Stanton.
Homeboy's got somebody in the background typing heavily. You hear that?
Pyro 6 on the far side because Pyro's star system is far larger than Stanton.
Jared, you need to tell Homeboy with the hammer fingers to stop typing while Homeboy's trying to talk. You know what I'm saying? He was like, I would not like to be in a cubicle next to the Homeboy with the hammer fingers, man. You know what I'm saying? Nothing worse than a hammer
Golden
finger.
Riviera is one of those sleazy towns which is just full of shady people. Absolutely.
That's great. Backspace. That is the funniest thing. Backspace goes, that's Knight Rider issuing bans, man. That's the funniest thing I've ever read. That's hilarious. That's exactly what it is. That's Knight Rider in the back.
Taken over by the headhunters. They've butchered everything. They've changed how they want things to work. trade posts are possibly selling slave pods, you can find other illegal goods, but it's just a central hub of like sleaziness.
Don't judge them.
It is still built out of this minimal things that are laying around. It's very a hodgepodge of different things that come together. What makes Golden Riviera different is that now a tornado just went through the entire place. It is absolute chaos. Bits and bobs are laying around.
Ooh,
things have rusted,
skulls.
and you will find mattresses of where people have been sleeping in the weirdest corners. We can see that the people that have been living in the space have really outlived this location a little bit.
It's exactly what I wanted with Pyro, like open door sex, you know, mattresses everywhere, just random, you know, debauchery. Just, you know, it's exactly what I wanted to see from Pyro.
The idea is that these are once prosperous outposts that have since been like basically home invaded by the bad guys and taken over completely. So we use a lot of like more like fire and lots of spiked kind of like cladding and rusty metal elements just to give that kind of, I hesitate to say Mad Max, but kind of that.
Big old funeral pyre, man. Look at that big old pyre in the middle, man. Man, whoo, loving this.
More apocalyptic vibe, I suppose.
Good art, good
Jackson's
art
Swap, even though it is very improvised, it has a certain structure underneath it. And Golden Riviera, just this structure is nearly gone. It is really chaos, anarchy that this place really embodies.
Looks just like Cleveland.
The players coming to our locations should feel like they are encountering a whole new frontier where people feel a little bit on edge and they're curious about you, but they're also hesitant to meet you at the same time. There is no law, there is no jurisdiction, there is no protection. There is just you and people trying to get by and live their lives.
Open space, man. Now, are we going to be able to just to like run and gun around the town, or are we going to have armistice zones set on the town? I didn't hear that, but I just hope it's all open. I hope there's no armistice zones here at all. Like really, in these types of town areas, like just keep it painful, keep it dangerous, man. You're in Pyro.
So what did we learn this week? Well, hopefully that there's a whole lot more to Pyro than just being a jerk and destroying everything you see and touch. That while all the systemic gameplay systems of Stanton can be found there, Pyro arrives with a few new ones of its own. And that at launch, there are two primary factions that currently dominate much of Pyro's planetside. And your choice of allegiance will determine much about where you'll go and what you'll do with your time there. And if you were asking yourself, hey, do these two factions ever fight? Well, I'd say come back in 2 weeks to see not only how much they don't like each other, but how they both have to contend with the ongoing presence of Xenothreat as their neighbors. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. Thanks for letting us share the people and process of game development with you. And we'll see you all here next week with a special Ship Showdown showcase look back at the work of superstar Gavin Rothery. He's so good.
Well, like Eric said, it's kind of a filler episode. Shiny bits are cool, but not a lot of new info. We've known most of this info for a while. I like how they're introducing a few new kind of mechanics or ideas with Pyro, but overall the art's fantastic. Like the art department definitely deserves some applause here, and like the vibes are exactly what I want to see out of Pyro. So good job. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and share and try and get your butts over here for the live show. We are going to Star Citizen After Dark, and thank you for joining us here for the Inside Star Citizen Review, the longest Star Citizen review show on the internet.